Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Stephen St. John back in studio after spending a week up in St. Joseph, Missouri at Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center covering Chiefs training camp. Once again, thank you to everyone at Stony Creek. They are awesome. Tremendous hosts for me and my family and my radio show as, man, we've been up there now over 15 years. It's crazy. But always a great time. And when you are in St. Joe, be sure to stay at Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center and tell them SSJ sent you. And hopefully, there are a lot of listeners that are still ready to make their trip up to St. Joe, Missouri to watch training camp. Still a lot of practice to go. We'll talk about the Chiefs with former Chiefs wide receiver Marc Boerigter, who's going to be in studio with us coming up in the next segment. We'll also have Todd Lebo on the phone as he heads up to training camp today to talk about what he's looking for in practice and go over some of the things that were said yesterday after practice. Jonathan Mayo will join us. We'll talk about some of the prospects that were traded. Get his thoughts maybe on the few deals that the Royals did and maybe his overall thoughts on some of the big deals that were made for guys like Tarek Skubal and Freddie Peralta and others that were swapped before the deadline. And then Annie Rogers from MLB.com will focus on what the Royals did. So we'll talk about that with her. And then, I guess, get back to some bad baseball. I don't know. I hate to say it that way, but they have lost 4 in a row, and their pitching staff is falling apart at the seams. But they did add some arms, and so expect some players, some pitchers that were acquired here in these deals before the deadline. I would expect to see at least a couple of them showcased in the second half to see if, basically an open audition to see if they can be a part of the bullpen next year. Because, again, you have one of, if it's not the worst, it's one of the worst. One of the worst bullpens you've ever seen the Royals have. One of the worst bullpens you've ever seen anyone have. And so there's plenty of openings in this bullpen. And, for a guy like John Schreiber, he's a free agent. He's not, he's one of the few guys that's been decent. He's not going to be back. So they're going to be getting rid of pitchers that are not good, like Matt Strahm, and some pitchers that are free agents, like John Schreiber, and some pitchers that just don't belong on this team anymore. So they don't want to rebuild, but they must totally rebuild the bullpen. So we'll talk to Annie about that and figure out maybe which of these pitchers can help the Royals sooner than later. And not really concerned about wins and losses in the second half. More concerned about showing the Royals something and showing the Royals enough to where they can be a part of a much better bullpen next year. It better be better. Because if it's this all over again, then there'll be some people losing some jobs, let me tell you that. All right. The Royals did make a couple more trades. I was, I'll be honest with you, I was shocked they traded Chris Bubich because he's been hurt and he's an upcoming free agent. and I did not think he had very much value. And so for the Royals to get a guy who they think could be an effective reliever for them, good trade. I mean, really good trade. Because I didn't think they'd get anything for Bubic because he's hurt. But the Dodgers don't care. The Dodgers will roll the dice and see if they can get something out of Chris Bubic down the stretch. Watch, Bubic will get healthy and be a lights-out reliever for the Dodgers down the stretch.
A key factor as they roll into the playoffs.
Sure. Sure.
Good. That'd be great for him. Happy to see that.
The Dodgers get Bubic and the Royals receive a gigantic reliever, Carlos Duran, and then they also traded for a guy that had been DFA'd earlier in the day, Nolan Hoffman, and they gave up minor leaguer Manuel Colon. And as Andy Rogers writes about Duran, the guy they got for Bubic, he could find himself in the Royals bullpen very quickly. The 6'7" righty spent all of this season in AAA, where he has a 3.38 ERA, and, now this is good, 61 strikeouts in 42 2/3 innings. He covers 37 appearances. The Dodgers signed him to a minor league deal this offseason after the A's released him. And he was added to the 40-man roster on July 6th, but remained in AAA. He has one major league appearance, which came in 2025 with the A's, when he allowed 3 earned runs in a third of an inning. He's 25 years old, has a 31.1% strikeout rate, has a fastball that's 95 to 97, a swing and miss slider, and you're thinking, hey, what the hell? How'd they get this guy for Chris Bubic? Well, a 14.3% walk rate. So he will give up a free pass or 4. He is wild. But again, Chris Bubic wasn't going to pitch for the Royals again this year. I don't think. You know, you try to come back if you're pitching for a team in contention. Like, what would be, I guess, try to come back for the Royals and show you're healthy going into free agency? I don't know. Didn't seem likely. I mean, I wasn't counting on it. Were you expecting him to come back?
Oh, how it went down? No, I mean, it would have been a surprise. I mean, I wouldn't have bet on it.
Either way, a guy that's hurt, that's an impending free agent, and you flip him for a big, strong reliever with a bunch of strikeouts that is wild, that walks a lot of guys. You take the chance. You take the shot. And if you can somehow make some adjustments or find the issue in his delivery or whatever it is and eliminate some of those walks, then maybe you got something. But, I mean, just to get anybody that's a candidate to be part of this team next year, that's a good trade. Bubic hasn't pitched since May 15th with a left forearm strain that originally was called a left elbow soreness and then became left shoulder soreness. He's on a throwing progression right now, Jake. So they're going to see if he can work his way back. I was surprised they didn't trade John Schreiber. He's going to be a free agent. I was surprised they didn't trade Starling Marte. He's also going to be a free agent. So, a couple of missed opportunities there. Let's hear what J.J. Piccolo said about why the Royals were unable to deal those two free agents to be.
Yeah, all of them at some point or another were inquired about, but in the end, they're here. So we didn't trade them. Nothing got too deep on the guys you're talking about. So they're with us. We're going to go compete with them. They're good guys, and now we just gotta get back on the field tomorrow night and get after it.
Okay.
Sounds like they didn't have too many people inquiring about them.
Sure. I mean, they traded Bubic. They traded Bailey Falter and Bubic. Yeah, I think there'd be some team that was interested in Schreiber. So. But hey, I'm happy they flipped Bubic for something, and we'll see if Nolan Hoffman can do anything. So they added some arms. And that's what they had to do because they need them desperately. Tonight, the Royals will take on the Twins. But more importantly, they are going to honor Salvi and his accomplishment of becoming the Royals' all-time home run leader. So if you're thinking about going out there tonight, first pitch is 6:40, but the Royals will celebrate Salvador Perez during a special pregame ceremony. Fans are asked to be in their seats by 6:15 p.m. to see the entirety of the celebration, and throughout the game, fans will also relive 13 of the most memorable home run moments from Salvi's career, and the first 13,000 fans will receive a collectible poster celebrating Salvi's historic achievement. And it's Dollar Dog Night, so there are some reasons. Doesn't seem like there's a bunch of reasons right now to go out and watch the Royals. A good one is to celebrate Salvador Perez and his accomplishment of becoming the club's all-time home run leader. And in a surprising turn of events, I'll be out there tonight. So
I was thinking about a hot dog, to be honest with you.
how about that? How about that? Huh? And I'm gonna
Night at the ballpark, huh?
Sure.
Taking the family out there?
No. Nope.
Just the wife or solo mission?
I sent a text to the two boys. I said whoever wants to go, because I think Susan tapped out. She's
Had a long week.
yes.
Is that enough of you?
And they went to Chiefs practice on Friday. That'll take it out of you, man. Some hardy fans out there to stand out there in the heat and watch some, as they call it, pajama football. It's not pajama football anymore. Now they get the pads on, but they liked it. But she just politely declined. She goes, I got a lot of stuff going on. I got to get ready. Back to school. She works in the cafeteria, so she's got to.
Summer's just about over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they start school in 2 weeks.
It's crazy.
And so I said, well, let me see. And Richie was the first to respond. And so.
How about that?
He was happy because he wasn't working and he hasn't been to a game in a while. So we're gonna enjoy the tribute to Salvi. So there. I'm glad they're doing that. And hopefully.
It'll be a good time.
And hopefully people will be, lured in by the dollar dogs and the free poster and find a way to get out there at 6:15 to celebrate Salvador Perez because he deserves it.
Thank you, my friend.
Because there are not many things to celebrate with this team this year. But he's one of them. So there you go. We'll take a break. When we come back, Marc Boerigter in studio. Back after this on WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Stephen St. John now joined by former Chiefs wide receiver Marc Boerigter in the studio. Marc, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic.
Where are you going today?
I'm headed up north to St. Joseph right after this for.
Wait till I leave.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if St. Joe can handle both of us up there at the same time, Stephen.
Probably not.
No, we have Chiefs Legends / alumni day. Always have a day at training camp. Come up, today's the day. Go up and hang out with a bunch of the fellas.
So what do you do? Do you meet with fans? Just meet with other players?
A little bit of everything. We will obviously come up, watch practice. There's a little bit of mingling that some of us will do from a community outreach perspective while we're up there as well. Watch practice. And we will come out on the field afterwards with Andy and the team, where he introduces all of us, or we introduce ourselves, mingle a little bit after practice, and then we have a little outing up in St. Joe afterwards. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. Well, in previous years, it's the second straight year that we haven't, for those of us on the Chiefs ambassador side, haven't been able to pick up our Super Bowl rings. We've typically had our little ceremony up there with Brett Veach and Mark Donovan and some of that, but it's always a fun day to go up and hang out for a little bit and be around the guys. So it should be a good time.
Well, wide receivers have been a hot topic up at training camp, and so unfortunately, I don't know that you will get a chance to see Cyrus Allen, as Andy Reid told us yesterday before he answered questions after practice. He told us that Cyrus Allen was diagnosed with a bone bruise in his day-to-day, but then when he was kind of trying to get pinned down on that timetable, Andy didn't like that, and so just then didn't want to talk about day-to-day, see how it goes every day, just Andy. He's been a touch irritated, I think.
Yeah.
In the interview tent, like last week when I asked him about, and look, I know that he's heard a lot of people talk about him losing his fastball, and so what if the Chiefs sign Kenneth Walker? The Chiefs won't run the football, and all these other different complaints. But I just asked him to give an opportunity to talk about it from a different way. I said, hey, with Kenneth Walker and his skill set, what does this allow you to do? How does this change the game plan of maybe how you'd like to use him compared to what you had last year? Because it's different.
Right.
You got a different running back that can do a lot of things those running backs couldn't do. And so then he answered the question as if I asked him, what do you see from Kenneth Walker and why is he going to help you? So he talked about Kenneth Walker. And then I said, well, how does what he can do change your approach and how you want to game plan? And he just we're going to run the ball every down. We're going to run the ball every down. And then he kind of gave me a wink, which,
which is his way of he's perturbed by what you asked him,
right.
But then also, yes.
Right, but,
yeah.
no hard feelings.
Right.
And then yesterday, he kind of got mad at Nate Taylor, who was asking him about under center. They've been under center more. They just have been. Like, we're watching.
You're watching it. Yes,
yeah,
happen in real time.
They're working under center more. They're doing this. And he said, if you find that, Jake, it's pretty funny. Nate, they don't play action. Always want to play action. It's like, no, that's not. We're just trying to ask questions that the fans want answered. And it is interesting to me to find out how they're going to utilize Kenneth Walker, right?
Yeah.
It can't be the same. And he has been very active and effective in the passing game. There have been more screens. They've thrown the football a lot. That's going to be one of the most interesting and important developments of the season. How do they use Kenneth Walker? How often they use Kenneth Walker? how diverse can he be in this offense? Of course that's going to be a storyline because that's the big, brand new, shiny toy that you got for the offense, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'll say this too, like, to go back to the Cyrus Allen piece, right, on stuff, like, training camp's a different animal in terms of injuries and time out, or, like, time off. And it's a little different now because obviously they have, like, walkthrough in the afternoon, right, and all that kind of stuff. But, like, the days just all blend together. And you might need a week to heal, but it feels like you've been out for 3 weeks, during training camp as a part of all that. So they're also starting to enter those points, and I know they just put up pads on yesterday for the first time, but this organization and teams had to deal with a lot already this training camp with the Eric Bieniemy, obviously, situation, and not necessarily his situation, right, but his family situation. So I think there's a little bit of this chip, where I'm going with this, there's just a little bit of this chip on their shoulder. So when he's being asked about Kenneth Walker, they've heard it all offseason too, right? They've heard it all offseason about they need to run the ball more effectively. That is not it's not a secret. I think they're just getting back to some of the foundations that they did early in Patrick's career too as a quarterback. And I know I mentioned this last week to you guys, but going under center more, a little more play action is going to loosen up the defense a little bit more, and just having that threat there. I don't think necessarily there's some things that are going to change about this offense in the run game, to be honest with you. I think you just have more explosive backs behind Patrick Mahomes, or in the sidecar next to Patrick Mahomes, than you've had before the last couple of years. Yeah, and better execution. And I think the vision is one thing that Kenneth Walker brings to the table, and then he can take it, he's a home run hitter as well. And so they've obviously had OTAs, they've had mini camp, and now you get into training camp, and it starts to get, real with the amount of reps and what guys are going to be able to do. And now it's just a matter of getting those constant repetitions and getting better. And the other piece of this too, Steven, is those guys are available almost every day, right? Now afterwards to the media. And so you guys and all of us, as I go up there today to watch it, just sit there and watch practice and evaluate every single guy. And if you're there for multiple days in a row and you start seeing a guy flash, or a guy not having a couple good days in a row, they're going to be asked about it. And that's just part of the business. But I don't know. I'm excited to go up today to watch it. There's a lot of questions, a lot of storylines still in this team. Long way to go yet, obviously, before we get to the regular season. But
you got pads on now, and I'll have a lot of questions for you about the receivers.
Yeah. But
like I said, unfortunately, you probably won't see Cyrus Allen because he's day-to-day. And, Jake, I don't know if you saw people melting down on social media yesterday when different reporters were telling fans what wide receivers were lining up with the ones out there with Mahomes, and it was kind of funny. Jalen Royals, Tyquan Thornton, and Andrew Armstrong. And I saw one guy respond, if I was Mahomes, I would just walk off the field right now.
I saw that too yesterday.
And that made me laugh. But hey, he's got to work with what he's got. But look, Rashee Rice ain't full go yet.
Yep.
Xavier Worthy hurt his shoulder. I don't know how long that's going to be. A couple days, couple weeks, who knows? Hopefully just a couple of days. And then, as I said, Cyrus Allen with a bone bruise. And so I'm all over the place here, Jake, with Andy. So we can at some point play Andy again at the beginning because he gives us an update. And you guys tell me, what does this sound like, or what it sounds like to you when he tells us how long these guys are out. We'll play that part first.
The guys that didn't practice today were Cyrus. Ended up being a bone bruise on his shin area there, so it'll be a day or two here. And then Gelati has a hamstring strain. Xavier has a shoulder sprain. Again, it'll be a few days for that, and we'll just see how that goes.
You said a day or two for Cyrus before you think maybe he'll be?
Yeah, just they got to get the swelling out of there. So how many ever days it takes to get the swelling out?
And so try to put him on the day or two. There's however many days. Gelati was walking around, and I watched him closely, and he didn't look. And I get it; it's different than walking around and getting out there and playing. But he didn't have a limp or anything else. He was just walking around with no pads, no helmets. He looked okay, so I don't think that's serious. But when he says Xavier Worthy, he said, and look, Andy's not the trainer, but he said shoulder sprain, and that's going to be a few days, and then we'll see how it goes. I'm sorry. Whenever you hear that with Xavier Worthy, especially after what happened last year, and I just talked to Worthy last week about, hey, how do you feel now compared to what you went through last year? He goes, yeah, I was never 100% last year. I was never going to be 100% until I had the surgery, and now he gets hurt diving again. That's got to be a concern. And I don't know, like shoulder sprain. Like, what do you think there?
Well, I'm not a medical expert, right?
But I want you to be.
Yes, but I've had shoulder injuries, so a lot of injuries. First of all, was it the same shoulder?
Yes, it was.
Okay, because
Yes, it was.
I just saw a shoulder spray. I didn't know he like dove
Same
for
shoulder.
a ball,
He had
went down after a catch or
He
something.
had a procedure this offseason on.
So the same shoulder.
Same one.
Okay. When you hear Andy talk about it being a couple days, it's like I don't want to talk about where this really is. And I think that this team, we all know, take everything that we get from an injury perspective out of them as with a grain of salt, right? On that. That's for any pro sports organization, to be honest. But it's concerning to me. You're also talking about a guy that is just in his overall build is on the smaller side, right? For the National Football League at receiver. Obviously, last year's incident in the opening game was a little bit of a freak thing with running into Travis Kelce. But he got
lit up by Kelce.
Yeah, he did. But he they had it worked on in this offseason, and maybe it's not quite as bad as, we're fearful of right now, right? But I think this early in training camp, they're going to take all the precautions on that not to put him back out there right now before he needs to be. And so what that does is obviously give some other guys an opportunity to get in there and get some more reps right now.
And so, and again, going back to what the discourse on social media yesterday, this is an indictment of Brett Veach not putting together a better wide receiver room behind Rice and Worthy and Thornton, because this seems, we've talked about this, awfully predictable that you're going to have issues keeping those three on the field together at the same time for whatever reason. It just doesn't seem likely.
Right.
And so that's why it's and this is so funny because it's caused all these different stories, because fans or even people that cover the team don't quite trust that trio. Then there's been so much excitement about Cyrus Allen, like, oh, look, maybe this is why they really think they got something here. And then Cyrus Allen gets hurt. Why are you having him play special teams? This guy is supposed to,
because he's a 5th-round pick.
Right,
that's why.
On day 4 of unpadded practice.
Yes.
But also that we have talked about this, right? That boy, if they get one injury, and it's likely they'll have injury issues like with Worthy. You'd love for him to stay healthy, but it doesn't seem likely. Rashee Rice, it seems like there's always something that's threatening to keep him off the field. And you want Thornton to show that he could be as productive as he was in the first month of last season, but he hasn't done it yet. And so there's a lot of ifs and buts and candies and nuts with these wide receivers, which lead us to the first day of padded practice when the ones were Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Royals, and Andrew Armstrong. It's not a fun place to be unless Andrew Armstrong and Jalen Royals are these hidden gems that we just haven't seen explode on the scene yet.
Yeah, I think all the concerns are valid for those who cover this team, for those who have watched this team, right, and watched it a year ago. I'll preface this, and not in a way that I'm defending the organization or Brett Veach on this, but these are still some young guys that are unproven, some of them, right? And we just don't know yet what that's going to look like until you get some game action on it. The top line guys or the front line guys, if you look at Rashee Rice, had a really inconsistent year last year and dropped the football too much. That's not rocket science. Everybody's eyeballs can tell you that, right? As a part of it, but he can be a major player for them. We've seen Xavier Worthy at the end of his rookie year really start coming on strong and then got derailed by the injury a year ago. And now obviously he's hurt again. Tyquan Thornton has been inconsistent, but he's shown flashes, right? Like there's your top 3 guys. Jalen Royals, drafted a year ago, we barely saw him last year for whatever reason.
And there were opportunities for him to hit the field.
Even late in the year, right? Even later in the year, and he didn't. So that is a question mark as to what's going to happen with him. What do they have with him? We're going to find that out. Before I start ringing the alarm bells and being worried about the depth of this receiver core, which there's a part of that that's there for me right now, is let's just kind of see how this all shakes out first, right? I think we're too early into only the second day of pads here coming up, right? Where we're really starting to make decisions on whether these guys can play yet or not.
If they stay healthy, is that wide receiver room good enough?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Jake, do you believe that?
Oh, I don't feel good about it. So
If they stay healthy, are they good enough? Is this just a
probably.
question of,
Well, I mean, are you going to get the same production you got out of Travis Kelce as you did last year?
just look at the wide receiver?
I know, but
I think yes. I think you can get the same.
If they stay healthy, yes.
I don't know. I don't think they're deep enough. I don't think that. I don't think that.
But and also you agree with other former players that got on social media defending Dave Tobe and Andy Reid, like, hey, if you don't think a 5th round pick wide receiver on day 4, day 5 of unpadded practice, if you don't think that guy should be out there playing special teams, you don't know what you're talking about. Of course he's going to play special teams.
Yes. Or at least he may end up not playing special teams, right, if he ends up starting. But as a 5th round pick, as a wide receiver, you're not guaranteed to see the field at all, right? In a lot of cases, I know this has changed the last couple of years around the league, but a lot of cases, a lot of 5th round picks get cut. Some of them do.
But it's the same people that, and they should bitch about the special teams not being good enough last year under Dave Tobe, and just screaming, do something, Tobe. But then at the same time, you can't say, fix the special teams, but don't use any of the good players.
Just because he looked good for the first couple of days in practice during training camp at wide receiver, which is a positive. Don't get me wrong, right? Doesn't mean he's not going to have to work at special teams. These things happen in training camp, right? I didn't see the collision. I didn't see that. I didn't go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, but like things are going to happen. It's football. And if it's a shin bruise, like they're saying, that hurts. Like if you get, hit right on your shin, it's just no different if, 2 guys are playing basketball and knees knocked together against each other, right? That bone-on-bone stuff, it hurts. But it's football. And, it's only August 4th right now. So as long as he's able to get back, let's keep in mind, too, since the draft, he's been here working with this team and this offense, right, through OTAs and minicamp and stuff. There's a reason he's running with the ones to begin with, which means he's, number one, talented, but then also seems to have a pretty decent understanding of the offense this early in his career. Or he wouldn't be running with the ones right now. So, but to say that, like, he shouldn't be out there in a special teams drill is absurd.
We have Marc Boerigter in studio back after this on WHP. All right, Jake, tell me what you got here to play, because there's a lot of interesting stuff from yesterday, post-practice.
Well, where do you want to start?
We'll go in
I
your
have
order.
Well, I'll give you options. You pick.
Okay.
You call the shots here.
Sure.
I have Andy Reid talking about being under center. I have Andy Reid, your question with Andy Reid about the wide receivers.
Yeah.
I have Andy Reid talking about Patrick Mahomes' brace.
Okay, let's just go in that order. I'll take it. What you just said.
All right.
Okay, first here's Nate Taylor asking Andy. Andy doesn't want to hear about under center. He doesn't want to hear about running the ball more. this much we know. So here's this exchange.
Andy, it seems to me that you guys have put more of an emphasis on working under center. Just what's going into that, and what are you trying to see about the offense in that sort of aspect?
Yeah, we've always mixed it. I think that's a healthy thing, you know. So I mean, it's not. There's no reason why or what, but other than we have some good stuff out of that, and we want to try to use it.
Did that just lead to more, I guess, reps?
Nate, you want to know if it has some more runs and play action and naked? Well, no, I mean, listen, we're going to mix. We're going to mix. So that's what we're going to do. We're not going to change that part. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, good.
Okay. You know, just like you told me last week, we're going to run the ball every down. Every down. Not what I asked. Okay, well, looking forward to it. All right, here is Andy when I asked him about some of these inexperienced wide receivers getting reps with Rice, Worthy, and Cyrus Allen out.
With some receivers out, you get a chance to look at some of your depth out there, including Armstrong and Royals. What are you seeing from those guys with the increased reps?
Yeah, I think Royals has kind of gotten better, playing faster every day that he's been here. And then Armstrong, likewise, he went through the rookie camp and pushed through that. And I thought he did a nice job there, and he's transferred that over. It looks like Pat's got trust in him. So I think that's a plus. I mean, he's getting better every day. Big target, strong. I like that part of it.
And let it be known that Andrew Armstrong is the sleeper for Jesse Newell, and Jesse Newell is an Andrew Armstrong guy, and I believe still has him making the team. So circle him, Andrew Armstrong, when you go watch the receivers today, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, and then finally here with
I have a hard time finding him with that number.
Yeah, well,
85.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
There were some people that erroneously were posting on social media that weren't even at practice that Mahomes was no longer wearing a knee brace. And I'm like, yes, he is. It's under his pants. He's wearing it. And so, whatever. Here we go. Jake loves Chiefs social media, man. He's all over it.
My favorite.
And so, I guess then some people decided that it looked thinner. I don't know. So here's our friend Vahir Gregorian asking Andy about Patrick's knee brace.
With Patrick today, first day in pads, it's some sort of less encumbering device to look like.
Yeah, he's got a brace on, but he's got to keep the brace on throughout. And
With the full brace, though, or is it a little
I don't know. It was a brace.
You're not looking at that?
I'm not looking at the brace. I'm not looking at the brace.
It's like a quarter brace.
He's had it. So my guess is that Andy doesn't want to talk about Patrick's brace anymore. I don't know.
I don't find this fascinating, but I do find it fascinating that, like, the amount of obsession from people. Like, I'm obviously concerned about his knee too, right? We talked about it like last week. Like I said that, if they feel that he's not quite ready yet, they shouldn't rush him back. I mean, he's your $500 million quarterback, right? On stuff. We all know that this team and this offense revolves around number 15. So I get why people are looking at it, but like the aggregators of the world, right? And everybody that has Chiefs in their name on Twitter and everywhere else, like,
Right.
just, it's hilarious to me. That we're talking, well, it was unders tights instead of overs tights. What was the reason for that?
I mean, it would have been significant if he didn't have one on, but he did.
But,
you know, that's all. So we'll get it. So watch Andrew Armstrong.
okay. I'll also take a peek at all the knee braces out there today, too.
Yeah, please do. Let us know how they look.
They will.
Do you think it's significant that they're working more under center?
Yes, I do. It's not like they haven't had these plays in the playbook, right? Okay, over Andy's career and everything else. It's not like it's anything necessarily new. You can run a lot out of center. You can run from the short shotgun that they run all the time anyway on a lot of it. I think you've seen in the last couple of years with some of the RPO stuff that, you know, if you give 15 an opportunity to look at the defense and maybe change the protection and do whatever he wants to do, even in the RPO game, like, he's going to take the opportunity to throw the football because he wants to, right? And I think that by going under center, it might help you hand the ball off a little bit more. But I think that more importantly, they've got to establish at least a threat of the run game, whether that's under center because you can't be too tendency heavy just under center with it, and even in the shotgun, effectively and efficiently, and they haven't been able to do that the last couple of years. And that, I think, more – and some of this, I think, too, Steven and Jake, is developing a mentality up front. I'm going to sound like an offensive lineman right here now, but getting under center and just kicking the guy's ass in front of you and moving him off the football, right? Developing that mentality of the aggressiveness of what your O-line is going to look like in the run game. Because if you're in the shotgun and you're running RPO stuff, those guys can't go downfield, right? They can't get off that double team maybe as early as they want to, because if all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes throws it, now there's an offensive lineman downfield, right? And that's a penalty. So I think some of this to me is just a little more of, number one, I think we'll see more of it this year, but I think it's about developing a mentality on it, and especially the first couple of days of camp once you have pads on too.
That's a good lead into some sound we're going to play in the next segment, because Trey Smith talked about running the ball more effectively, being more physical. Trey Smith was very good at the podium yesterday, so we'll hear from him after this on Sports Radio 810 WHP.